Hey, folks, I am excited to be here with you on behalf of the Missionary Church International to share with you specifically about the subject called networking. Networking is very, very important to us. And if we're going to be successful at what God has called us to do, we must be able to effectively network in our communities, in our circles of influence. We also have to be willing to network across cultural lines and across the various different institutions that we come in contact with, whether it's the civil authority, or it could be someone in the business community, or it could be someone in the educational area or government. In order for us to be effective in reaching the objective of Christ, we must be able to do what? We must be able to network. Well, let me share a few screens with you as we move through this particular lesson today. As we look at this lesson today, we can see specifically that we want to network. We want to be in the business of helping our people, not only our people be successful, but also the people who are in these various different systems, a network to be successful at their mission in what they have been called to do. And it's networking is not new. It's been around since the beginning of time. And those who are successful at networking, folks, they really make an impact on our society. Networking is active, it's living, and if we're going to, as a Christian body, if we're going to make the impact on the society that Christ has called us to make, we must be willing to network. We have to be willing to move into these various different areas where we can make a difference. Let me give you an example of a network. When you are on your computer, even while you are listening to this particular broadcast, there are various different networks that's causing this to happen. You, of course, have the internet itself, which is a conglomerate of different pieces of equipment that are working together to make it work, to make this particular broadcast happen. If you're watching it on Facebook or you're watching it on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter, wherever you may be watching it, in order for that particular system to work, it functions within a network of other systems. And of course, when we look at the internet, for instance, we know that the internet is comprised of millions and billions of people that are on there communicating each and every day. What am I saying to you there? I'm saying to you is specifically that if you want to be successful in ministry, you have to learn how to network. Ecclesiastes chapter number 4, verses 9 through 12 from the New Revised Standard Version says to us, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up the other, but woe to the one who is alone and falls and does not have another to help. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm, but how can one keep warm alone? And though one might prevail against another, two will withstand one, and a threefold call is not quickly broken. You must understand that the body of Christ is a network of people, and we must be willing to work together in order for us to accomplish the mission and the purpose that God has called each one of us to participate in. We're all called to do a specific task, and that involves another person helping us out. When we look throughout the Bible, we see that there's always one, two, three, four people who are working together to make it work. Jesus and his disciples. And in order for Jesus and the disciples to work together to make this network work, there had to be a problem that they had to solve. I mean, when you look at Christ and you look at specifically him and the popularity of him, his popularity was based on him solving a problem that a network of people was having. Remember, there was 4,000 people, and there were 5,000 people who were hungry, did not have enough food because of the where they were. And what we notice there is that we can see that Christ was able to cause his disciples to function as a network to actually help those individuals who were in need. We need you to sit them down by 50. We need you to sit them down in these particular areas on so geographically, he set up a network where baskets move from place to place, or bread and fish move from place to place. What am I saying to you? That if we're going to be successful, we must understand that God is going to be the one that's going to help us through this particular situation. So we have types of networking. We have the operational networking, we have a personal networking, and then we have strategic networking. Operational personnel, they're not mutually exclusive, but in order for you to be successful, you must have an operational network and you must have a personal network if you're going to be successful at that. Let's look at Luke chapter number 14, verses 15 through 22. You remember that the banquet, there was all sorts of people who got invited, but there are people who were invited off of the street. He was passionate about having this particular banquet, and he drew people together from various different places. But in order for that to happen, they had to work together. And I'm here to say to you that if we're going to be successful at what Christ has called us to do, we must be willing to what? Collaborate. We must understand specifically what the message is and how we as Christians can collaborate on that particular vision. The vision of the people, you must understand, if we're going to be successful, we as a church body must learn to work together across various different denominations, various different culture, various different neighborhoods. We must be willing to work together, because you must understand something. We're all on the same team. But so many times within the church body, what happens is that it seems as if we are fighting against each other. We're swapping members. We're swapping officers. We're swapping the congregation. We're swapping all kinds of things, when in actuality, we're all working together. So if we're all working together in this particular network, we have to create some systems that's going to help us grow bigger, help our influence and our ability to influence the nations and the communities and the neighborhoods in which we're located. In order for that to happen, we must be in a situation where we see ourselves from an operational standpoint working together. And there are many cases and many times where we're not working together because of pride, because of selfishness, and we want to have the biggest of this, when in actuality, we're all working toward the same thing, that is to win souls for Christ. Let's dig even deeper in the operational networking. You have to build relationships from a company standpoint. You have to build relationships within the company in order for it to work well. And it's just like within the church, if the deacon ministry or the elder ministry or the board of directors of a particular ministry doesn't work together, what happens is that you're all over the place. And we can see from a business perspective, it's amazing that the business community works together to make things happen, but there's a challenge when it comes to the church working together to make things happen. And it's amazing how the marketing department works with the sales department to make it work. And what am I saying to you today? I'm saying to you that if we're going to be successful at what we've been called to do, we must what? Work together. We must work together. We must create a message that is unifying in our neighborhoods. If there are neighborhood churches that are around us, let's create a unified message of what we're going to accomplish. Let's create some unified goals and some objectives of what we want to do in this particular neighborhood. Let's put some assignments together where we can say, this is what we're going to be able to do here. But in many cases, what happened is we have churches on every corner, and they're making a menial impact instead of making an impact that can be meaningful. But it involves us working together. Back to the business example, you have the marketing department, the accounting department, the sales department, you have R&D called research and development. They're all working together. And you have research and development who has this new idea, and then they call the marketing department in and say, well, what colors should this particular new product be? What's the favorite color of people in this particular cultural background, or this particular socioeconomical class, or this particular sector or place in the U.S. They have all of that market research that works. Why doesn't the church tap into specifically what causes people to respond in a certain way? Who's our R&D department? Who's our research and development department? What am I saying? If we're going to be successful at what we've been called to do, we must learn to work together and create a message that is going to be meaningful and impactful for those that are inside of our individual communities. And that we must build internal contacts that both within our particular denomination and outside of our denomination. We have to develop operational contacts with individuals who are in the communities in which we live, because those individuals also have the opportunity to help us meet the objectives that we want to meet in the community. What am I saying to us? I'm saying to us today is that in order for our operation to work, we must have some operational agreements with the churches, with the civil organizations that are in our community, to say specifically what our role is, how we want to help them be successful. And once we do that, what happens to us is that we're able to be a transforming agent in the neighborhood in which God has placed us. We have to coordinate activities in the community. And if we coordinate the activities in community, what happens is that we have the ability to have a much more impactful experience for those who need Christ. And we're also able to partner and bring our resources together. And when we bring our resources together, that saves our money that we have, our limited resources that we have to accomplish a specific goal in the purpose that we want to accomplish in our various different arenas and our various different communities. So we have to have internal network and partnership agreements. Then we have to have external operational partnership agreements. And I'm here to say to you that if you have all of that, what happens is that you're able to accomplish specifically what you have been called to do. And you must understand that if you're going to be successful at what you've been called to do, you need to what? Create a partnership. And I encourage you as we go through these particular discussion points on networking and bringing about a global vision for your ministry and looking at how you're going to be successful at what you've been called to do. I want to encourage you to create a mission. You have the church mission, you have your personal mission. And in your personal mission, you must be willing to establish some network outside of your particular denomination, your organization, because we don't live in a bubble. In order for us to be successful, Christ is the greatest example for us, is that he operated not only in the bubble, but outside of the bubble. It's always good when you're able to have a conversation with someone that does not think like you, that does not look like you, and does not have the same background or cultural experiences that you've had in your life. Why? Because they're going to give you another perspective. They'll give you another lens to look through, not from an argumentative standpoint, but from a perspective of you're going to be able to gain additional insight, additional wisdom. And because the people who come to be a part of your ministry or your congregation are the people that you're discipling or the business owners that you're praying for, those particular persons, you find yourself where you're able to understand their perspective. And if you understand their perspective, what happens is you're more able to be empathetic toward their particular experience, but you're not becoming an enabler and keeping them in that particular situation or circumstance. But what I want to encourage you to do is to know that these lessons are designed to expand your bandwidth and to move you forward when it comes to you expanding the ministry that you've been called to make an impact in the community in which you serve. It is networking. And if you're going to be successful at networking, it's going to take you having a willingness to move outside of your comfort zone. And if you move outside of your comfort zone, you're going to be able to make a difference in the lives of those that you've been called to make a difference in. Thank you very much for tuning in to this broadcast. The TMCI family is a great organization to be a part of. I would encourage you to seek additional information. I am Bishop Johnny Riley, and I'm excited to be able to deliver this message to you today. I will be back with you at the next broadcast to share additional information about networking. Thank you very much for being a part of our broadcast today.